Hey, if you're like me, sometime in the last month or so, you spent some time with these right here, these Christmas lights, hanging them up around the outside of the house and probably inside the house and on the trees and all that. And it's kind of cool to be able to do that. It pretties things up a little bit. If you live in a neighborhood where the houses do it up, it's kind of neat. It's fun for the kids and all that. But that first day that you're getting ready to put everything together. So you pull everything out of the garage or out of the shed or whatever it might be, and you get these tubs, and then you reach in the tub to start pulling the lights out, and you've got this ratted mess of lights that you got to deal with. Man, that's not fun, and nobody really likes to deal with those. But if you're going to hang the lights, you got to be able to do it. In our story of Jonah, he finds himself where his life is kind of knotted up like this. You see, God asked him to do something pretty specific, and that was go to Nineveh and cry out against them and warn them about God's wrath that was coming because they had so disobeyed God. God wanted to get it back on the right track. But Nineveh didn't listen to God. Instead of going the 500 miles kind of northeast, he took off to the west 2,000 miles, jumped on a ship. Well, God found Jonah. Came to him through that storm and caused the storm, and all the sailors on the boat started freaking out, realized it was Jonah, tossed Jonah overboard, and down he goes. So God sends the fish, swallows him up, and he finds himself in the belly of a fish and realizes at that moment how deep he had gotten in with God. And he recognized his life was a mess. It was completely and totally knotted up, and how desperately he really did need God. Guys, the same thing is going to be true for you and I. One of the things that has fascinated me over the years is, as I look around at the world, or even in my own family for that matter, is I see people that have their lives and they're completely knotted up. They're just a mess like this. But the fascinating part is that we walk around not even recognizing that. Like, we don't even notice it because that's just how people do life. And guys, I know that because that was me. Living life every day, just kind of doing my thing, completely ignorant of God, or didn't even care about God, whatever it was, but my life was a knot and in a mess, but I had no idea. Guys, it takes God sometimes for us to recognize how messed up our life really is. You see, God shows us how to live life right, but when we don't live it right, this is what we end up with. So here's the deal. If your life is entangled, acknowledge the knot. You see, you can pull at this and you can break it apart, you can do it all you want with that, but if you really want to be effective at untangling a knot, you got to get back to the beginning to be able to make that difference. You got to go back to the start. You got to get back to living life the way that God intended, and by doing that now we have the ability to be able to untangle the knot that is actually there. So you've heard that fixing any problem means that you first have to recognize that you have one. You've kind of heard that saying before. Well, when we've messed up with God, we've got to have the courage and the humility to acknowledge the knot. And to be able to move from "Did I do that?" to "I did that." To own it. To understand that I'm in this situation, my life is knotted up because of me and my choices. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to step up and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to apply God's principles. I'm going to make that difference. I'm going to untangle this knot using His wisdom. And by doing that, we have an opportunity to do something great. So listen, let's make sure that we're doing that this week. Look, we could be right with God and find ourselves in this knot. Or we could not have a relationship with God and we're already living with the knot. So let's make the difference. Let's step up. Let's make that difference. Let's untangle a knot. But let's start back at the beginning. It will make a world of difference to you, your family, and the world around you as well. Let's make sure that we're doing that this week.